I thought that the American Power Act that Senators John Kerry, Lindsey Graham, and I worked on, and then Lindsey pulled off of as a measure of all the that was swirling around this bill politically. I thought the American Power Act really was an attempt to get this right and do it right and do something that would work and everybody could live with, that would really make a difference. We decided that we had to reach out to some of the people who traditionally have been understandably most anxious about climate change and energy independence legislation. People in the business, the utilities, even the oil companies, the nuclear power industry, et cetera, as well as, of course, as the environmentalists who have been longtime advocates of climate change legislation. And we put together quite a remarkable coalition, I think. Part of it is that we used a market-based mechanism, as Tom said, that was really originated in the administration of President Bush 41, George H.W. Bush, in 1990, in the Clean Air Act used to reduce acid rain, and it essentially creates a market that will set a price, in that case for sulfur dioxide, in this case for carbon dioxide, and then basically says, let the market do the rest. We had all sorts of testimony from people, particularly in the venture capital business, that said that literally billions of dollars would flow into innovative entrepreneurial new energy technologies if there was a price on carbon set, because people would see how they could invest in non-carbon producing energy systems that would cost less than the market-based price. So we had some, the head of the Florida Power Company, I remember telling us that if we passed the bill, he'd immediately invest more than $1 billion in solar energy equipment because it would be cost effective for him. The same was going to be true of people putting money into nuclear power as well. And of course, the other thing that drove business support for the American Power Act was the desire by the business community for some predictability, some understanding of what's going to happen. I mean, I think a lot of people who are, as many in this room I know, who are in the energy business are living in an uncertain world now, presuming that some government-driven change will come, but not knowing it. And the word that we kept getting from a lot of people was in business was, tell us what the rules are, and then we'll figure out not only how to live by them, but hopefully how to profit under those rules. So then when we announced, for instance, we had the bill, we had the head of the Edison Electric Institute, and the institute itself, which is the largest association of electric utilities in the country, and the head of the nuclear power industry, and some major manufacturers, people like Dave Cote from Honeywell and others. Also, the analysis of our bill was very encouraging. An independent organization who studied it said that it could create as many as 500,000 new jobs a year from now until 2030 for the next 2 decades. Others said that it would stabilize energy prices. They might go up a little, but not a lot. And it would cut foreign oil imports by 40% by mid-century, and prices would go down over the longer term. Congressional Budget Office concluded that the American Power Act would actually shrink the deficit by $19 billion over 10 years. The Environmental Protection Agency said it would do the job to begin to reduce carbon pollution and therefore reduce the threat of climate change. But it didn't pass. And so why? And I can answer some questions about this if you want. I'll give you what I think are a couple of the major reasons. Probably the major one was that the Congress was suffering from what might, by the time we got to this bill earlier this year, what might be called post-healthcare reform traumatic stress syndrome. I don't have to tell you, the healthcare reform debate took a lot, both legislatively and politically, out of the system, and it's big, and this is another big one. So people were anxious about it. Also, we were coming in this extremely partisan chapter of American political history to what is obviously, and it was clear earlier this year, going to be a very competitive, maybe transformational election in November. And my colleagues, for reasons I understand, but was disappointed by, got risk averse. You can't pass a major change like this if you're risk averse. As you know from your businesses, you can't embark on a big new idea, new investments, if you're worried about taking a risk. The whole history of the American economy and why we've had such extraordinary growth is that we are a nation of risk takers. We are an entrepreneurial nation. And we need that kind of leadership in Washington, but the political system simply doesn't encourage it. And so it didn't make it, unfortunately. Thinking back to the memo that Moynihan wrote in '69 and reflecting on literally the hundreds of conversations I've had with my colleagues and stakeholders in all parts of this question over the last couple of decades, I have to say that I'm profoundly disappointed that at this particular moment in time, when the evidence of what energy dependence costs our country and the effect that climate change could have on our country, and at a time when we so desperately need to create a new economic engine to drive the creation of new jobs, we simply couldn't come together to seize the opportunity to accomplish really all three of those things at one time. Instead, we chose to stand by as major global competitors capitalize on the opportunities created by a rising global clean energy market, including their ability to market and sell technologies that were actually created here in the United States of America. I'll tell you one of the most stunning statistics that I heard along the way. I forgot the name of the company and the CEO. Were in a meeting. It was Applied Science or maybe Applied Materials. Anyway, major manufacturer of solar panel making machines, said that 3 years ago, the Chinese were making somewhere between 5 and 10% of the solar panels in the world. Last year, they made more than 50% of the solar panels in the world. And that's a lot of people and a lot of jobs making those solar panels, which really should have been made here in the U.S. So look, we've got a choice to make, and we'll have it again to make possibly, but I doubt it, during the lame duck session, and then next year, no matter what the composition of Congress is. We can work together to look beyond our immediate political horizon and devise a solution which will make our energy system independent and made in America, and we'll do something about climate change and also will generate economic growth. Or we can dig in our heels and relinquish these economic opportunities to our trade competitors and also strap our national security, because when we are as dependent as we are now on foreign sources of energy to power our society, we can, no matter how strong we are militarily, be limited in our freedom of action by that dependence on others, including a lot of people who don't have positive opinions of us. So we'll be back next session, one way or the other, to try again. And I hope that you will be there to help us get something done. Thank you very, very much.